Hi, this is Faith, and you are watching The Faith Factor. Holla. All right, what's up, everybody? This is Faith, and you are watching The Faith Factor After Dark. So, for a lot of you, it's already after 12 midnight, and it is already Sunday in some neck of the woods, and it's still Saturday in others. All right, y'all. This evening, I have a good one for you because I just had a really interesting conversation. I want to say disagreement or argument with someone. And it was really, really weird and out of nowhere, this argument that we had. And so it made me want to go ahead and fire up this live stream because I'm wondering what the hell did I say? All right, so I'm gonna tell you about the argument me and my guy had. Okay, it was my guy that I had the argument with. We were on our way, to enjoy our evening, and I just nonchalantly, started talking. And I was like, you know what? I used to have this idea for a movie way back when I was 18 or 19, where it would kind of be like a South Central type theme. But the only thing is, in a lot of these movies, they don't do a real good job of doing the 360 view of why a lot of these people are in the communities committing these crimes. And so I went on to tell him my idea and that, how I felt the movie should start off. So I'm talking about this movie. And so I was telling him, that the reason why I wanted to do the movie is because I wanted to do the good and the bad side of the Pookies and Ray Rays. Because in a lot of these movies, it's kind of like it airs on one side or the other. Like with New Jack City, it aired more on the side of the bad. With Menace to Society, it aired more on the side of the bad. And with South Central is the only movie where it kind of came close to a 360 view of the Pookies and Ray Rays of our society. And the reason why I was wanting to write this movie, I used to write movies and plays. I was very, very, how can I say, talented in that area when I was young. And the reason I wanted to come out with something like this is because I hadn't seen it done before. So I'm interested in like displaying a different perspective from my point of view. What's up, Rudum? Rudum said, no, is not wrong. Well, me and my guy got into a really bad argument tonight about this, okay? So I was talking to him about it, and then all of a sudden, he turned on me and he was like, so you want to humanize criminals? And so I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's such a bad idea to show the human side. I said the good and the bad. And when I said that to him, it seemed like all he heard me say was that I wanted to humanize them and show the good side. I don't condone people raping anyone, doing home invasions, or anything like that. What I said is, I think that the movie should do a better job of showing a 360 view. And see, the reason why I would write something like this is because I know people in my family like this. Like I keep telling you guys, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I got people in my family that I know for a fact fall into the category of Pookie and Ray Ray. Most of us do, right? A lot of us don't like to admit that we have people like this in our family, but we do. And so, from my perspective, like I have a cousin, I'm going to call him JR. That's his nickname. Now, JR, his story is like pretty typical of the young black male that grows up poor in the hood. His mother was definitely on drugs, a heroin addict, okay? And I'm just going to be honest with you. There's going to be a lot of people that have different points of view. I don't have a problem with people having a different point of view. My guy, he had a problem with me having a different point of view because he feels as if I should think like him. Oh well, okay. But basically, I have to have a different point of view because I got all different types of people in my family. So I grew up with both my mom and my dad. I didn't have it as hard as other people. So I knew that it was possible for a black woman and a black man to have a healthy lifestyle because I saw it firsthand. But my cousin JR didn't see it firsthand. Okay, he didn't have access to those type of people in his life like I did. Like I said, his mother was a heroin addict. He had 7 brothers and sisters. I remember when he was like, I would say about 10 or 11 years old, his mother had just given birth to his younger sister, and she was like kind of spazzed out or just not available on her drug. How can I say her? She was just drugged out. So she wasn't there to like provide for them like she was supposed to. The children were just grossly neglected. They were hungry most of the time. My cousin JR was put into a life of having to provide for his brothers and sisters. So he became what you call your textbook Pookie and Ray Ray terrorists on society because he did a lot of those home invasions, trying to feed his little brothers and sisters, trying to come up on things, come up on money. He went from door to door begging for Pampers. He begged for food. He did what he had to do for his little brothers and sisters. So that's the reason why I said, you can't just make a snap decision on these people. If you really, really want to do something about the crime that's going on in your society, yeah, definitely get the criminals off the street. I am a proponent for that, but the rehabilitation 9 times out of 10 really don't happen in prison. What ends up happening is they take these people and they lock them up and they make money from them. They're all they are is a number. They don't see them as people. They don't try to get to the bottom as to why they're like this. There are correctional facilities all over this country that don't do any type of correction. Now there are little programs here and there within those facilities, but they are grossly not performing the way that they should. And so we need to ask ourselves, why aren't the correctional facilities correcting? Why are these people coming back out of prison worse off than what they were when they went into the correctional facility? And see, it would behoove you not to want to find the answer to this, because if you live in neighborhoods like this where it's crime riddled and you really, really want answers, it would behoove you to find out exactly why. So like I said, I have relatives that had it hard like this, and they became what you call these menaces to society. They became like OG Bobby Johnson's son was in that movie South Central. I know people like this personally in my family. Okay, I'm not ashamed to say that. Now let me tell you a little bit more about my cousin. Okay, so he did home invasions. Okay, he was the one that was selling drugs on the corner, whatever he had to do to provide for his brothers and sisters because his mother couldn't. She was an addict. And he was doing this from the time he was like 10 or 11 years old. So imagine what that was like for a young kid to be the mother and father to his brothers and sisters, but he out here being a menace to society. That's the reason why I wanted to do a screenplay and write a movie that was more of a 360 view. Like I said, the only movie that came close was the one movie, I believe it was it Minnesota? No, it was South Central. The one movie South Central came close to it, but it really didn't delve deep in it like it should have. Like well deep into why these people are like this. So, like I said, make a long story short, my cousin grew up, he became hardened by the system, in and out of juvenile detention centers first, and then he graduated from going in and out of juvenile detention centers, in and out of jail, and then finally prison. And then not only was he in and out of jail and prison, but he was also like 50 Cent, he was shot up a few times, but he was just lucky to live. This last time he had gotten shot up, we didn't think that he would walk again. And it was pretty scary. And, he kept turning to this life of crime because he really, really genuinely did not know that no other way of life existed. He did not trust anyone in the system. And I don't blame him, because I'm having my personal problems with the system myself. So I can understand how a person coming up like that cannot trust the system, because there's some villains inside the system too, that if you open up to them, you think that they're going to help you, and they really end up ruining your life even worse than what it was. Now imagine you're a young boy and you might have just stole something like, petty thief, petty shoplifting, but the police pick you up and they throw a gun on you, and now it's armed robbery. Now petty thievery, that's a slap on the wrist, but armed robbery gets you more time. And that's the type of thing that a lot of these young black men growing up on the south side of Chicago, that's a lot of what they were dealing with. So you had villains within the system really messing it up for them. So I say this to say it's real, real difficult trying to tell somebody that grew up with a hard life to begin with. They don't have no type of role model in their life, showing them that there's a different way. Everywhere they look is other gangsters, other thugs. They mama a drug addict, their friends' mamas, and they're either hoes, prostitutes, or drug addicts. This is what you're pretty much growing up around. This is all you see. And the people that are in positions of authority is setting you up every chance they get. This is the mindset that you're dealing with. And like I said, I kind of know about this because I have people like this in my family that I have spoken to over and over again. And it's like beating the head against the wall, trying to get them to understand that there is a different way to go about it in life. There's a different way. So I was in the car and I was having this discussion with my guy, and all of a sudden he went off on me talking about, why am I bringing this up to him? Because he, experienced some things where he got, robbed, and, people jumped on him and all this stuff. So he made it completely about himself. And I'm sitting up here simply telling him about an idea that I had when I was 18 or 19. He asked me if I really believed it. And I'm like, yeah, I believe this. If I would write a movie about something like this, then yeah, I would definitely have to believe it, because I know people like this. So I'm not writing the movie or the play from a place of ignorance. Okay, I'm going through some issues with the legal system myself that's unbelievable. So yeah, I believe this. I believe that there are reasons why people do what they do, and they're not all bastards. Now, disclaimer, I'm not talking about rapists. I am not talking about killers, okay? I'm talking about people. Well, actually, it may also be rapists and killers. I correct myself, because they have a story they have a backstory too. They have a backstory too. So as I was talking about it, my guy got deeper and deeper into his feelings, talking about, himself again. And I never brought him up in talking about my idea at all. And so he was like, I never thought you was like this. I'm like what exactly? I'm just having a conversation about, my idea that I had when I was 18 or 19 about a movie, and you making this about yourself. Like, who does this? It was the weirdest thing. But anyway, I digress. But the title of this video is, Was I Wrong? I mean, am I wrong to think that we should study why people commit these crimes and why the current system is not really successful in helping these people? Because right now we have people coming out of these facilities and they're going right back in. Where is the breakdown and the disconnect? So I would submit to you all today, because in the story of my cousin and him getting shot up and us not even knowing whether or not he was going to walk again or live for that matter, it finally kind of woke something up in him. And I had been telling him for the longest time, because if everybody knows me, I'm a truck driver. Okay. I used to be an owner operator. I would be bringing home anywhere between 10 and 13,000 a month as an owner operator. I was damn good. And so I tried to tell him, hey, cuz, you know what I'm saying? Instead of trying to flip 8 balls and, all this old stuff that you're doing, trying to get over on the system illegally, I said you could do the same thing if you just go and get your CDL and grab your truck, buy your own truck, and have your own personal business for yourself. I said it'd be just the same as flipping an 8 ball, but what you're doing is you're calculating fuel, you're calculating maintenance costs, you're calculating your taxes, you're calculating things to do with your business that's legal rather than things to do with a business that's illegal. I said, and you will stay out of jail. I said, you'll be over the road going from city to city. So you're going to stay out of trouble. I said, why don't you give this a shot? Here's an alternative. Here's how you do it. So I took him step by step on how he could get started with coming off of the least amount of money as possible. And next thing you know, my cousin is sitting up here. He's got his own truck, paid for, bought and paid for, and he's racking up 200,000 a year legally. But it took a long time. I'm talking about 5 years of my life trying to convince him that it was another way, because he had never seen another way. He had never had any examples that there was another way. He had no cognitive understanding that you could actually get by without doing any of these things, and that there are people that you could actually trust so that you could live a up and up life. He had no concept of this at all whatsoever. And so I don't know how, me and my guy got to arguing about him and what happened to him, with these people, these hoodlums, busting into his house and, beating him up and all this type of stuff. I don't know how we got to arguing about that, and how my vision turned into something about him. But I in having this disagreement and argument with him tonight, it made me wonder, like, why is it that there are so many conservative Black people that have such a cold heart towards helping their community? Because on the one hand, my guy talks about, if you see something going down in the community and you don't do anything, you're part of the problem. Well, I kind of see it the same way. If you see something going down in your community and you see that there are systems in place that are not working, and you don't try to understand what's happening so that you could do something about it, then you are also part of the problem. Different ordinances, different things that you have to vote in during these midterm elections. It's not the main elections, it's like these little local elections, the local politics. These are the things that you need to pay attention to. You need to be paying attention to what is going on around you locally. Because if you live in a crime-ridden area, you see that you got all these correction facilities, and you see that every time you look around, brothers are going to jail, and they should, rightfully so, if they are committing crimes, but there is no actual rehabilitation taking place. These people are going back like a revolving door, and they're committing the same crimes over and over again. Wouldn't it behoove you to find out exactly why is this occurring? Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I know this isn't an exciting topic like, Derek Jackson cheating on his wife, but this is a topic that we need to kind of delve more into and have more conversations about, because now it seems as if we as Black people are splitting up into these two groups. You got your ultra conservatives that say they don't give a damn about the community, and they're, very individualistic. And I don't disagree with that to a certain point, because I'm very individualistic too, but at the same time, I'm individualistic, and also for the greater good, I would come together with the community if it benefits me and it helps, how can I say, make my environment safer. Then I become community minded. So it's a catch 22, and you have to really utilize your common sense. So you have your staunch conservatives that says F the community and F these people committing crimes. They're all scum and roaches, and we shouldn't try to understand them. They're not human. We don't have to understand nothing about them. Like I said, unless the person is a cold hearted killer or a rapist or a child molester, yeah, I would write those off. Okay. There's something definitely wrong with those that I would never sympathize with. But if you're talking about people that are just selling drugs, okay, they're committing nonviolent crimes, or or maybe a little petty theft or something like that, or maybe they're going around fighting or something like that. Yeah, something like that, I would have to get to the bottom of why this is occurring on such a grand scale, and why the correctional facilities are not actually correcting. Because, see, if you got 80% of our men, 80% of the prisons, I'm sorry, 80% of the prisons, Black only, and there's no rehabilitation, there's an issue and there's a problem there that needs to be dealt with. Because now they're going to send these people back into society. And my whole issue is, after they send them back into society, what the hell you think we're going to do with them? Like I said, it took me 5 years. This my cousin JR, 5 years, damn near dying from getting shot up 8 times before he would flip over his life. So there's definitely got to be some kind of mental disconnect there that we need to delve into. What's up, Al Banks? Shot killings. He says because most jails are rented. Exactly. There are a lot of private prison facilities. And here's the thing, I'm not against private prisons at one point or another. I think it's a good idea if Black people actually invested in owning some of them. And here's the reason why I say this. If nothing but non-Black people own the very facilities that are doing most of the correctional or rehabilitating of your people, who are majority of who they put in these facilities, wouldn't it behoove you to try to own and operate and control the rehabilitation yourself, to make sure that rehabilitation is actually occurring? Because a lot of privatized prison systems don't give a damn. They just see a body, and they don't care about your rehabilitation. As a matter of fact, they make money off of you fighting to get back in there. But if you're smart and you really want to be about, helping out, yeah, you would invest in privatized prison. And I know that that sounds extremely extreme, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. You can't sit up here and complain about how they treat you when they own it. Now, if we own it, it's something totally different. They ain't gonna treat you the way you want to be treated. So you own your own and you control your own. You get to implement what programs you want to actually start a rehabilitation corrective process. But there's no rehabilitation and there's no correction, none whatsoever. And so these are the conversations that are touchy amongst a lot of Black people. You have your staunch conservatives that want to throw everyone in the hood away, everybody. And see, like I said, I can't do that because I know a few of my own people and family members that fit that bill, that I have actually seen make a turnaround in their lives. And had it not been for people like myself coming through and saying, hey, there are other venues for you to make it as a Black man. If school is not your thing, there are trades out here that you can actually partake in to get your life on a better footing. If you got bad credit, here's a program that you can get into that works with people in your situation. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of elbow grease on your part, but it really, really works out in the long run because it takes time and elbow grease on your part in order to flip this 8 ball. It takes time and there's a lot of risk involved. Your life, your freedom to do it, to do it in such a way where it is illegal. So here's a way for you to have less impact on your freedom, but you do have to put a little bit of elbow grease into it. You got to put the same amount, if not more, elbow grease into doing it, but it won't impact your freedom. And so these are the conversations that a lot of staunch conservatives don't want to have with people that do home invasions, that go around, beating up people or whatever. We don't want to find out exactly what the issue and what the problem is. Some of these people may need to be, as I say, institutionalized indefinitely. And then therein lies another problem because in Chicago, there's a homeless population of crazy. I'm talking about, well, I shouldn't say crazy. That's not the good, but mentally ill people. There's a homeless population of mentally ill people that don't get talked about. And so they're allowed to let roam out here on the streets to prey upon people as well. There are people with mental disabilities that never get diagnosed in our communities too, and so that takes a toll. So when I was talking about my idea for showing the good and the bad side, my idea is to do it in a 360 way where these people are not only humanized, where you can see that they're people just like you and me. They have families, they have mothers that they love, sisters that they love, wives and girlfriends that they love, that they will probably kill, steal, and go to jail for. And they do. And so you also have some of these people that have dreams. Some of them have dreams of being artists. Okay, when they go and rob and kill and all that type of stuff and steal, they go back and they try to put this money into their dream. So there is a 360. Let me see what Al Banks said. Al Banks said that's exactly right. Yes, there's a 360 view of this whole thing. Now, I don't want anyone to get me twisted. Okay, I'm not saying run up and hug a criminal. That is not what I'm saying at all. Okay. No, you should not be running up and hugging a criminal. but you should be trying to understand what is going on in your crime ridden areas. And if you're interested in making a change, then you know how to vote. If it is the correctional facilities that need to change, then you need to vote for regulations that will make them change how they rehabilitate some of these inmates. You can put a proposition on the table that actually puts forth tax dollars that would actually help do better rehabilitation of people that go to jail for these crimes. You would actually look in your community and see if you have a high homeless population of people who have mental illness, and see if you can allocate tax dollars to getting them off the street and institutionalized. So there are a lot of things that we could do. But for some reason, when you have the conversation with some of us, it's touchy. People's feelings get involved, and then they start personalizing things as if you're talking about them. I have watched movies, and I could have sworn that whoever wrote the movie knew me personally. It would be crazy for me to sit up and get mad because somebody's talking about a movie and I make it about me. It would be really, really insane. But that's what happened to me tonight. I don't understand it quite clearly what was going on. But my guy, he totally went off into a tangent about it because I have a belief that's different than his. My belief is that people should go to jail for committing crimes. But if you are in jail, my belief is that you're supposed to be rehabilitated. That's what I'm paying my tax dollars for. If I'm paying for you to keep the criminals off the street, and I know that one day this person is going to be released, I would like for this person to be released back into society, rehabilitated, because that's what my tax dollars pay for. So, see, it's kind of short sighted, in my opinion, when you have these staunch conservatives that holler about crime and they holler about people making it unsafe in the neighborhoods, but they are not just as outraged about the lack of rehabilitation. They're not trying to find out why these people keep coming out of jail and committing the same crimes over and over again. And so this is where you do an investigation into the system itself, because there's something broken there that needs to be fixed. So this is not a Derek Jackson live stream. Maybe I should have put in the description, had an argument with my boyfriend, and people would have ran over, because folks love drama. But here's the thing. Why should I even have to? Why? And why do staunch conservatives get so angry when you talk about trying to get down to the humanization, the human side of some of these people that are out here committing these crimes? Because these are human beings committing the crime. So there is a human side there. The woman that's promiscuous, that goes around sleeping with everyone, and she holds up a sign and wears a t-shirt that she's the proud side chick, and she has a 300 body count. Well, she didn't get promiscuous out of nowhere. Okay, there had to be different things that happened that brought her to where she is today. And that's the same thing with Pookie and Ray Ray. Like I said, my cousin JR was a Pookie. Okay, he's no longer that anymore. Now, I will say he has a lot of children, that he had made before he got his life together. But because he finally got his life together, he's actually able to do something for his children. And that is what I would like to see more of in our Black community, actual rehabilitation. He was actually able to be helped and rehabilitated into a functioning and contributing member of society. And I'm talking about somebody who was a cold, hard criminal. I'm talking about somebody that sold drugs and did those home invasions and did a lot of time for it and kept going back again, kept getting shot up again. This is somebody that thought that this was life. And it was very difficult. Like I said, 5 years of begging and pleading, please stop. There is something else out here for you. Let me show you. There's a lot of people that don't have a faith in their life that actually sit down and take the time to talk to them about these things. And even if you did, they may not listen. And even if you did, they may not listen. Because I know he didn't listen the first 300 times I tried to tell him. I never gave up. And then when he saw me, a woman, and a Black woman at that, doing it, and how easily I did it, that was when he started listening, because he could actually see somebody in his actual life that he knew actually come up out of the ghetto and make something of themselves. That's the first time. I think I was the first person that he knew that he saw do that. And so he respected me, and he respected the words that I was telling him after I did it and I had an actual example to set before him. I'm not saying that people should be going around hugging criminals or feeling sorry for them and all this type of stuff, because yeah, they make decisions that put them in trouble. But there's an origin there as to why they make those decisions. How did they come to the decision to become career criminals? And why don't they ever try to do something different? What happens in between the time that there is an arrest and there's a so-called rehabilitation that doesn't seem to work? These are questions we have a right to ask, first of all, and we have a right to get answers to these questions. When I sat down and I talked to my cousin about his experience, what he experienced in his lifetime and what he saw in his lifetime, I first of all finally saw the human in him. For a long time, I was scared of my cousin. You know, he was a formidable figure in the family. You know, these people are not very approachable. But when I actually listened to the story, and when he actually told me of the things that he went through during his times of incarceration, and he was very open about things that happened to him while he was incarcerated, things that didn't work out for him while he was incarcerated, and also, you know, getting railroaded by the justice system, because there were actually things that he did do, and then there were some things he didn't. And I know that this is possible because I'm going through something very similar. And that if I wasn't going through it myself, I wouldn't have never believed him. So I can say that there is definitely some sort of breakdown. But at any rate, I don't want to go into a long diatribe about this. This is meant to be a monologue. Definitely something that I had on my mind that I needed to get off. I needed to blow off steam. Like I said, it was a very heated argument between myself and my significant other on this subject. And I don't understand, but I respect other people's, I respect everybody's point of view. I just put it like that. I'm not a person that will force you to be exactly like me. But at the same time, don't try to force me to think exactly like you. It takes all kinds. But when it comes to our people, we definitely haven't had any working answers to solve any of these issues. Like the whole snitches get stitches thing that goes on in our communities. I don't like that. You can't make your community safe if you don't speak up, even though I do understand why a lot of people hesitate to do so. Just like my guy, he was telling me that at one point he had heard the neighbors in his apartment complex getting into it, and he didn't even want to really report it, but it had gotten to the point where he had to, and he had to actually give a different address than where he called from, because the stupid police, if you call in, even if you request to be anonymous, they will come straight to your house and pretty much blow up your spot and let everybody know that you called, which I think is absolutely wrong. This is what I'm talking about, as far as there needs to be changes within the actual current system, because they shouldn't be doing that. If you call the police and you wish to be anonymous, they should not be blowing up your spot by walking directly to your house to question you about you calling. Because now they're alerting people in the area that might be dangerous that you're calling. That's something that needs to be changed. I believe more people would actually report things that they see if the police handled that differently. But that's just one example of many other reasons why we need to understand what's going on in our communities and with these different systems that we're dealing with. So, whether you're a staunch conservative or whether you are pro black, because I think if you're too extreme on either end, that's where you're going wrong. We need to look at things from a 360 viewpoint and to understand it in totality. And once again, I don't think people should walk around hugging criminals. That's dangerous. Don't let them in your house. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is be aware of things that's going on in your community. And also, what I'm saying is study trends. Try to figure out what's working and what's not working and why. If something has not been working, but this program is being allowed to fly, and you're paying your tax dollars for a broken program and a broken system that has yielded no results, then you have a right to question it. You have a right to demand change too. And with that, I'm gonna just end the stream, and I'm out. Peace.